It could have brushed anything. Willow, plastic, leather. So many chances to be spared. But it didn't. It found the stumps, the batter walks, and with them, what mattered most. All lost for something that didn't. It all started with a minimal curve of the ball into the stumps. Anything but deadly from the hand of Shoaib Bashir. It's almost gentle. Then on pitching, the ball slightly straightens, not with big spin or something ripping, more like a yawning fade. The ball could not find the middle of Rishabh Pant's bat in a more mathematically precise spot. It squirts out in front of point. But the moment it does, there is an instant call. And then suddenly this casual occurrence of cricket becomes high octane. This is not a single that needs to be taken. It will not make India more likely to win the match. It's also not one that is in any way safe. KR has backed up, but it's more of a crawl than expecting the run. But he wants to get down the striker's end so he can try and bring up his 100 before lunch. So when he decides to honour the call, his athleticism and speed explode as he's now racing Ben Stokes, who also has plenty of both. It's touch and go whether Rahul will outrun Stokes. When the ball's in the captain's hand, he's running directly at the striker's stumps, and KL has not yet passed Rishabh Pant. The run out is on, but Stokes turns it on its head. Instead of flicking at the stumps near him, he stops on his right leg, twists his body in midair, and turns to throw back behind himself. He has seen something that few could have. That Pant had a millisecond, like a micro moment of hesitation. Rahul might still have been out if Stokes had flicked at his end. But if he throws at the bowler's end, Pant probably will be. Then in a moment of bad luck for India, Stokes not only gets the throw away straight, but the ball appears to go past the pads, between the bat and the boot of Pant as he is running. While he wasn't trying to get in the way, he was doing a pretty good job of that. But Stokes picked up the ball perfectly, turned like an ice skater performing an axel jump, and then threw accurately enough to hit the stumps and missed every other obstacle in its path. Rishabh Pant was a few inches short, not chasing a desperate run, but making his partner's lunch easier to digest. A single for the stomach. It ended up upsetting much more than that. Cricket boards actually make watching their games almost impossible now. I spend almost as much time trying to find where I can view it as I do actually following the action. That is why I use NordVPN. They let me find all the cricket I want to watch while protecting me from the nasty side of the internet. Nord will free your cricket matches. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/good areas to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 additional months on top. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Watch every match with NordVPN. KL pushes the ball into the offside and takes a risky run. He's a couple of feet past the crease and then celebrates his 100. This is seen in cricket as a normal run, but it shouldn't be. At no other stage in a test would this be needed, outside of perhaps when a player is struggling against one bowler. But we accept a little bit of risk when taking a single here because KL Rahul is trying to get his 100, which is an arbitrary landmark where your score goes from double digits to triple. There is no reason just after lunch for you to be stealing a run on a pitch where wickets are really hard to take. It doesn't make any real sense. Just continue to bat the exact way you were before and score as many as you can. But as cricketers, we're trained to think this way, to react a certain way to each milestone. I know more than most that these things affect your brain. When I played junior cricket, you had to retire when you made 50. I would bring up that mark, raise my bat, and then walk off. Then, as I got to the higher levels and didn't have to retire, I would bring up my 50, raise my bat, and then weirdly, I would be out within a few balls. I was a cricket Pavlovian dog. To explain that, Ivan Pavlov had a dog, and the scientist rang a bell every time he fed it. Before long, The dog started drooling just at the sound of the bell. No food in sight. My junior cricket days had conditioned me to think that my job was done once my 50 was celebrated. And every single 100 I made was also followed by my worst shot of the innings. Anyone cheering for me when batting was the worst thing that could happen. So I know this is a real condition that batters face, despite also understanding that it is completely nuts that we're worshipping these random whole numbers. Because of the number of digits we have, we've decided to use base 10 or the decimal system. So 50 or 100 matters a whole lot to us. But obviously, this is nonsense. 99 is worth one less run than 100. I tried to tell Martin Crowe once that 299 is a cooler number than anything over 300. So he should count himself lucky to have that as his top score. He disagreed. Mark Waugh told us for the art of batting that he probably should have averaged 3 or 4 more points higher if he was really hungry in Test cricket, especially when he was on top. He felt that was something that he should have been better at, but he was a lot more concerned about getting the team into a good position and then winning games. But what's interesting is, when you look at Mark Waugh's record, he passed 100 20 times. He passed 120 only 7. A lot of those lower 100 scores were from him thinking the job was done. And some of this was also clearly from his failure to, as Barry Richards puts it, club baby seals. But perhaps the best case of this ever is not Waugh, but the player he inspired, Michael Clarke. For the first part of his career, he regularly went out not long after making 100. It became like a bit of a trope of his. And then later in his career, he was dismissed a couple of times just after making 150. This is not accidental. He told Steve Smith that in his career, he kind of changed the way he looked at things. The total he now wanted to get was 150, not 100. And for the latter half of his career, he made massive scores. These are two quality players who were both affected by the milestone issue. Most people think you're more likely to get out in the nervous 90s. But weirdly, batters are brilliant under that pressure. They watch the ball a lot more to ensure that they're definitely going to get to their milestone. The safest time for any Test batter in the first 125 runs of the innings is the 15 between 85 and 100. The most dangerous time after scoring 70 runs is when you have just brought up your 100. And you can also see that when you're making 200, the exact same pattern happens. Even the greatest batters of all time are Pavlov's dog. Give them praise, and it is the easiest time to take their wicket. In fact, the pattern is weirdly similar whether it's 100 or 200. Batters in the 5 runs before their major milestones are really good. And in the 5 after, they drop off massively. We don't see this for 50s or 150s. So it's just your big boys. Batters love praise and then straight after, lose their bubble. Today, KL got the single, raised his bat, and then Pavlov's dog drowned him. He managed to somehow get an outside edge to a Shoaib Bashir ball that looked as life-threatening as sugar-free vanilla ice cream without actually adding another run. He made exactly 100. Before Pant tried to get Rahul on strike, India looked likely for a pretty healthy lead. By the time Rahul was out, it was back to the bare-knuckle fistfight we've been seeing all Test match long. Rishabh Pant was a few inches short. KL was stopped dead on his aim. And because of one milestone, India upset themselves. Brian Lara used pot plants to work on his placement. John Wright glued his glove to his bat. Sachin Tendulkar dug up practice pitches. Tatenda Taibu cut the top off his bat. Claire Taylor used a hockey grip. Steve Smith was from tennis. Dean Jones would call phantom runs. And Victor Trumper turned the nets into a war zone to survive. The best batters in the world do whatever they have to make runs. We have told their stories in our new book, The Art of Batting.